Hi, I'm Daryl Olszewski, the Pastoral Associate here at St. James. Thank you for joining us for our reflection for Passion Sunday. During Lent, here at St. James, we had very prominently displayed a cross which we called the giving tree. For it is the cross that really gives all of us life, that indeed saves us. But on this particular giving tree, on this particular cross, were placed the needs of the poor. People, for instance, who needed help from St. Vincent de Paul, or repairers of the breach, or perhaps homebound people who would have appreciated a meal. Parishioners were invited to take a card and to respond to the needs that were placed here. So in other words, the needs of the poor were placed on this cross. As many times the poor who cry out very loudly to God, wondering where God is in their lives. At the end of the Passion, which we will hear on Palm Sunday from Matthew, Jesus upon the cross cries out to God, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? The poor often have that same cry. But the cry of the Lord on the cross was not just limited to that line. For Jesus, that was the opening line of the 22nd Psalm. For him, it was perhaps the introduction to that whole prayer that he might have been praying while he was on the cross. Just as we might begin a prayer by saying, Our Father, and then mentally we know the rest of that prayer and would say it silently to ourselves, or Hail Mary, and silently we could finish that prayer. Jesus would have shouted out, my God, why have you abandoned me? And to himself perhaps said the rest of Psalm 22. The psalm begins with that cry of despair. Why so far from my call for help, from my cries of anguish? My God, I call by day, but you do not answer. By night, but I have no relief. Yet you are enthroned as the Holy One. You are the glory of Israel. In you our ancestors trusted. They trusted, and you rescued them. To you they cried out, and they escaped. In you they trusted, and were not disappointed. But I am a worm, hardly human, scorned by everyone, despised by the people. All who see me mock me. They curl their lips and jeer. They shake their heads at me. He relied on the Lord. Let him deliver him. If he loves you, let the Lord rescue you. Do not stay far from me, Lord, for trouble is near, and there is no one to help. That could well have been the first stanza that the Lord prayed in his own heart as he was hanging on the cross. The second stanza continues with that cry, the cry of the Lord, and oftentimes the cry of the poor. My heart has become like wax. It melts away within me. As dry as a potsherd is my throat. My tongue sticks to my palate. You lay me in the dust of death. Many dogs surround me. A pack of evildoers closes in on me. So wasted are my hands and feet that I can count all my bones. They stare at me and gloat. They divide my garments among them. For my clothing they cast lots. But you, Lord, do not stay far off. My strength, come quickly to help me. Deliver me from the sword, my forlorn life from the teeth of the dog. Save me from the lion's mouth, my poor life from the horns of wild bulls. The third stanza of Psalm 22, then, moves from the despair and the cry of the poor, and also the cry that Jesus had upon the cross, to one of hope and joy as there is an affirmation that the Lord is indeed going to save the Lord and the poor. The third stanza, Psalm 22, then, reads like this. Then I will proclaim your name to the assembly. In the community I will praise your name. You who fear the Lord give praise. All descendants of Jacob give honor. Show reverence, all descendants of Israel. For God has not spurned or disdained the misery of this poor wretch. Did not turn away from me, but heard me when I cried out. I will offer praise in the great assembly. My vows I will fulfill before those who fear him. The poor will eat their fill. Those who seek the Lord will offer praise. May your hearts enjoy life forever. All the ends of the earth will worship and turn to the Lord. All the families of nations will bow low before you. For kingship belongs to the Lord, the ruler over the nations. All who sleep in the earth will bow low before God. All who have gone down into the dust will kneel in homage. And I will live for the Lord. My descendants will serve you. The generation to come will be told of the Lord, that they may proclaim to a people yet unborn the deliverance you have brought. The joy that that psalm ends with is what happens when we move from the cross and cry out, Lord, Lord, why have you abandoned me? To the joy of the resurrection, to the joy of new life that we will celebrate a week from now on Easter Sunday. Psalm 22 is not one of just despair and hopelessness. It is one that begins with the cry of wondering where God is, but ends with finding him and proclaiming him to the nations in the joy of new life and salvation. May you find that joy this week, and may your week may indeed be holy.